We save a lot on shampoo. These are my good sisters. This is Tenzin Dasel. And this is, I only know Druk Sewang. I don't know your whole Sewang. Sewang Churchin from Bhutan.
Hi.
And from Ladakh.
Oh, nice.
So great to meet you. Thank you for being
here. So I invited them to join because they can follow everything. And I thought, you know, the more nuns, the better. Nun power.
Power. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. And this is Andrea here. She's in Maine, and Doreen, and Janet. And hi. I don't know. Oh, Carla.
Carla.
I recognize you. Of course I know who that is. I'm used to her with the shorter hair.
Yes, it's grown out.
Nice to see you, sister. It's been a while. Okay. So these are some community friends from Maine, and Carla's in another part of the USA. So why don't we begin? Because I think others may join in, but Andrea, you're the hostess, so you can allow anyone in who as they're coming?
Yes, I will keep an eye on people arriving.
Okay. So if you have your Tashi Getzeling booklet, I don't know if you still have one, Carla, but if everyone can get that, this is our English one that we're using. We can all say. Yeah, she can come. Okay, so we'll say in the Tibetan the first 2 times, and then we'll switch over to the English, just so you can hear some nice Tibetan. So we'll just say like the regular. Sangye chodan soki chognam na jangchu bardu dagni kapsu chi dagi jin soki pe sognam ki drola penchir sangye drupasho sangye chodan soki chognam na jangchu bardu dagni kapsu chi dagi jin soki pe sognam ki drola penchir sangye drupasho. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until enlightened, I seek refuge. You can say in English. Through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all, may I become Buddha. Samchen tamche de wadam de wei yudan dampar kyuchik. Samchen tamche dugnal ki yudan drawar kyuchik. Samchen tamche dugnal mepe de wadam mitrawar kyuchik. Simchen tamche niring chatang midang drawe tanyom chapalane argyurchi. We'll say this one the next 2 times in English. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. So we'll say this one 2 times, and I'll say it maybe just 2, and then I'll say it the rhythm that I know. Lama Tumpa Chomdende, Dikunte Chompayang, Dakpar Tope, Sange, Rikpadam, Shapsu Dampa, Dewa, Shikpa, Chikten, Kempa, Kebu, Due, Kalo, Girwa, Lana, Mepa, Ladamina, Kitompa, Sange, Chomdende, Telgewa, Shakya, Tupala, Chatselu, Chodu, Kepsu, Chiu. Lama Tompa Chomdende Deshin Shekpadra Chompayang Dakpar Sope Sange Rikpadan Shapsudampa Dewa Shikpa Shikten Kempa Kebo Due Kalo Girwa Lana Mepa Ladaminam Kitompa Sange Chomdende Dagewa Shakya Tupala Chazelu Chodu Kyapsuchi. What's in English? To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. So we'll say, do you know this one? This is more of a Geluk. Gansei Gagni Sowa, Yotamse. You know this one? Okay, I'm going to just say it in the way I know it. Maybe we'll just speak it. Because your rhythm's a little different. You'll pick it up? Okay. Gongse Gagni Sowo Kyotamse Sachen Dila Gompadu Wane Nani Jikten Dina Chokche Sum Dese Kapa Kyola Chatselo Nam Shotu Sum Sangpa Yeshe Kyaso Sagilum Poja Jakpa Jikten Sumna Lamewa Gompo Choke Kyola Chatselo Senchok Dempa Wisha Sada Jawa Kyola Chatselo Jujel Kyodrasi Pasumachi Nyame Kenchen Kyola Chatselo Gombo Tuje Chedenpa Tamche Kempe Tampapu Sonam Yajing Deshin Shela Chatselo Takpe Do Chakra Wargyur Gewe Nason La Drojing Chikdu Dondam Chikyordpa Sigur Chola Chatselo Jone Joe Lam Yangten Lapa Dagla Raptune Shingi Dampa Yuntenden Sokchuk Chendun La Chelo Tompa Lame Sangye Rinpoche Kapa Lame Damshu Rinpoche Trempa Lame Gendun Rinpoche Kyamne Konchok Somla Chatsa Chagjaro Partam Chela Shingu Kunji Janiki Lutu Payenam Kuntu Shotu Tepe Chatselo Dikpa Chiyam Mishashin Gewa Punsum Shopache Rangi Samni Yom Sudu Dini Sange Tempayin Karma Rabri Marmedam Huma Silva Chubordam Nilam Ludan Trintabur Duje Chunam De Tarta Sonam Di Takre Sipayi Gopam Tone Kondi Taturte Gadana Dan Chiwe Lam Trukte Sipe Shole Drowa Drowa Sho. This Gandhin La Gema, you know? I didn't. Okay, this maybe to Jason Koff is a Giluk. I would do this one. Gandhin La Ge Gunji Tukane Rab Karso Sar Pungdre Chuzin Ser Choki Gyalpo Kun Kien Lop Sangdrak Sedang Che Pene Dir Shek Suso Dungi Nam Kar Sengdri Pede Ten Jetsu Nama Ge Pezum Karchen Daglo de peso nam jing chok tu ten pa ye chir kel gyar shuk su so se je kyun kun je we lo dro tu kel sam na we gen gyur leg she sum drag pe pel gi la mer se pe ku tom tu dren pe don den la chat sel Yang cho yon na shok me to dang Dri shim duk po nang sel dri shab so Lo sham yi tro cho trin gyat so di So nam jing cho ke la cho parbo Ganshik tok me dune sakpai. Lunang yi ki mi ge chi ki dam. Ke pardon pa sum gi mi ton chok. Ning ne kyo padak po so sor shang. Nig me du dir mang to drop la son. Cho gya pang pe del jordan yo che. Gompo kyo ki lap chen ze pa la. Dak chak sam pa tak pe yi rang lo. Jetsu nama dampa kye nam ki. Choku kala kien se trin jigne. Jitar champe dulce zin mala. Zabgya choki char pa pap tu so. Dagi jinye sakpe ge wadi. Tendang dro wakun lagang pendang. Ke par jetsun lo sang drak pagi. Ten pe ning po ring du sel je shok. Mig me se we che ter chen chen rezi. Dri me kien pe wang po jam pel yang. Du pung ma lu jom se sang we da. Gang chen ke pe su gen song ka pa. Lob sang drak pe shabla so wa de. Lob sang drak pe shabla so wa de. Pel den sa we lama rinpoche. Dagi chi word pe de teng jugla. Padrin chen po go ne je zung te. Kusum toki no drup sel du so. Den sa we lama rinpoche. Dagi ning karpe me teng jugla. Kadrin chen po go ne je zung te. Chok dang tung mo no drup sel du so. Pa den sa we Marim poche. Dagi ning karpe me teng jugla. Kadrin chen po go ne je zung te. Jang chub ning po wardu. Ten par show. You can hear my baby Tibetan. Okay, now we'll say the Heart Sutra together in English. The Sutra on the Heart of the Transcendent in Victorious Wisdom. Homage to the exalted three jewels. Thus have I heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the perfectus of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty, without characteristics, that is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomena. There is no I element, and so forth, up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passed utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times, by relying upon the perfection of wisdom, become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose and said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the Supreme Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Do you want to say it in Tibet? It's too long? Okay, we'll say the Bodhisattva vows now. You can also renew them. You have them at the back of your prayer booklet on page 28. We can say them all together. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment, enthused by wisdom and compassion. Today, in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. So maybe we'll just offer a short mandala offering. That's okay. I'll hold it for all of us. Yeah, I can totally visualize. Yes, visualize the whole offering of the whole universe. Yes. Sashi Poki Jugjing Meto Tramri Rablingshi Nide Genpadi Sangye Jindu Migte Uwa Idro Kunamdak Jingla Choparsho Om Yiram Guru Ravnamandalam Kandiryatayami. So thank you everybody for sharing these opening auspicious prayers to take refuge and to generate the mind of enlightenment, the mind of bodhicitta. So today around the world is called Veterans Day. On this day, it's a holiday that marks all the people who have died in war, in all the wars, in Bhutan, in India. I don't know if Ladakh used to have some wars back in the day before they were Buddhists. So it's to kind of commemorate people who have lost their lives in war, not just the people who are fighting them. That tends to be a different holiday in the United States called Memorial Day. But Veteran Days, for people, everyone in some ways, all of humanity is kind of a veteran of war, because world wars, humanity has had conflicts from the beginning of time, really. And so this practice today of the oneness of humanity, one breath in unity and Dharma, is a celebration of the Buddhist view of life beyond conflict. The Buddha's great insight was, these poisons of ignorance and anger and selfish desire that create conflict, that create suffering, they're not something that are natural to us. Our natural essence is Buddha nature, which is free of all these poisons. It's free of ignorance. It's the wisdom that knows that the mind is pure, radiant, clear, beginningless and endless, that our true essence is the Buddha nature. And so today, especially on this day, we'd like to remind ourselves, and anyone who might in the future watch this video, that the Buddha's message was to come back to your true essence, to come and identify your true nature, which is of love, of light, of happiness, of freedom from suffering. And these are called the 4 immeasurable qualities. So the second prayer that we said, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and hatred. And sentient beings, in this case, doesn't mean only human beings, because whenever there's conflict, many, many forms of life die. So in the last century with the world wars, no one thinks about when a bomb gets dropped in a village, all the other forms of life besides the human beings that die, but cows die and horses and deer and birds and insects. And when the nuclear bombs went off, many, many life forms died, fishes, birds. So it's just a horrible destructive tendency that our species of humanity seems to be the only one that really perpetrates to that degree. There's no other creature on this planet that could create as much suffering and killing. Many people are afraid of what kinds of animals are people afraid of in Ladakh? The snow leopard, maybe. Snow leopard. How about in Bhutan? Snakes, maybe.
Yeah.
Poisonous snakes and tigers in Bhutan. In the US of bears or of wolves, maybe poisonous snakes. We have fear of sharks. But the truth of the matter is there's no other creature that can do as much harm as the human beings. This is the truth. And the Buddha was trying to point out to us that really is not our true nature. He himself was born into the warrior caste of the Shakyas. His goal, or his father's goal for him, was to become a king, but his caste in that time, his class system, was as a warrior. And he had absolutely no interest in that. He was quite good actually at archery. He was a great marksman. He was very athletic, very beautiful. The stories always talk about what a skillful athletic being he was, but he really wasn't interested in that pursuit. He knew that his true pursuit was something much more profound, much more deep, in order to bring healing and freedom to humanity, true healing and freedom that far transcends war. And he knew the only way to do that was for each person to go within and try to find their true essence. And so that's what he spent his 6 years really studying and practicing to do, until he reached his attainment, his enlightened state, that he discovered, oh, it's not only my enlightened state, every living creature has this essence of Buddha's nature, Buddha seed within them. If they have a consciousness, they have a connection to Buddha nature. So these 4 immeasurable qualities are called immeasurable because, first of all, living beings, sentient beings, are immeasurable. We could never count the number of different life forms on this earth. No one will ever categorize and catalog all the different life forms that are currently on our planet and that will come or that have been. People dig up old bones of dinosaurs and old creatures that lived a long time ago, but we didn't meet them. Still, they lived on this planet, and we cannot meet all the different kinds of creatures that are living today. Some we wouldn't want to meet, maybe some sea monsters or something. We'd be quite terrified. I had some dreams once of sea monsters, and I did a lot of swimming in the oceans of Hawaii, Atlantic and the Pacific. And even last year, I went into the ocean in Australia. But, I'm not afraid because I don't go out. One time in my life, I was way, way out, a few miles off the shore. And only afterwards, I thought, what was I thinking? I jumped off that boat and the water goes down for kilometers. What could be living down there? I wouldn't do it again. Anyway, we can't meet all the creatures that are on, and even there are whole different world systems that you can see under, like when you go under the water in Hawaii, it's quite beautiful. Many life forms, but we'll never meet them all. But the point is, they all have Buddha nature. They all have an essence of awakened consciousness. They are aware that they have sentience. Even a starfish, if you touch, there's a starfish with like these 5 legs. If you touch it and it's not feeling that you're very friendly, it will curl up, it will respond. But if you're very gentle with it, the little legs will kind of dance in the ocean. It just depends on your intention. So our first immeasurable wish goes out immeasurably for the happiness for all the immeasurable number of beings that live. There's not one. It doesn't matter of their life form, of the way they look, of their skin tone, of their politics, of their gender identification. There's not one that we do not wish happiness for. We wish every single creature happiness. Everyone, just like us, wishes happiness for themselves. Therefore, we don't leave anybody out of our wish for happiness. So our own wish is immeasurable. May all of them have happiness. That makes our wish immeasurable. Just as all beings do not want suffering the same way we do not want suffering, we wish compassion. So this wish of being free of suffering in Buddhism is considered the wish for immeasurable compassion. The wish for happiness in Buddhism, from an altruistic point of view, is the wish for loving kindness. That's how we define love. Altruistic love is the wish that all beings would have happiness. You see, it's quite different than romantic kind of selfish love, the way love is shown by Hollywood and Bollywood. That's a whole different fantasy thing that almost always ends in heartbreak. But this kind of love, altruistic loving kindness, that says, just like I love to feel happy, every being loves it when they feel happy. I want that for every being. Whether it's the cats or the dogs that we live with, or the birdies, the little ants, The other week, Sewang was in my room and there was a little bug and she just picked it up nicely and blessed it and left it aside. You know, this is really how beings live in harmony with one another, with this genuine connection. And then this wish, may all beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. Well, I don't know how many beings really know that how to live in sorrowless bliss. So our practice should be, let's ourselves cultivate a mind where we can live in sorrowless bliss. I feel these beings I live with are almost always in the sorrowless bliss. I hear the nuns, they're studying so hard. They're up every morning at 4:30. They don't go to bed till 11 at night. They're studying, debating, in the temple doing pujas, cleaning, but they're always laughing and joyful. So it's hard not to be living in the sorrowless bliss with them. I mean, thank you for that. I didn't really tell them that, but I'm living that way, you know. So I'm smiling often when I see them, but I feel like that's such a lesson and a gift that there are beings who know how to live in the sorrowless bliss. So let's ourselves become one and then share that endlessly with all life. That's Yakbushidadu. It means wonderful, very good. And then the fourth immeasurable. So it's kind of already included in the first three, this word all beings, all beings. The fourth immeasurable, holding all sentient beings in equanimity, meaning like this, equal. Not one high, one low, not one better, one worse. Not that we forget about one and say that one's not worthy, even no matter how naughty they've been. And there can be some very naughty beings for sure. We have stories in our culture of people who have done bad things. Bhutan is quite a paradise, I don't know, but I think you still must have stories of some criminal or some kind of warlord or something, right? Some warlords. Ladakh, we do have some stories there, do we? I don't know, I never heard a bad story in Ladakh, but they must have some. Anyway, they've had some, they know from Indian history, there have been war leaders and still, and even today, we live with Hindu people, with Muslim people, with Jains, with Christians, with atheists, with humanitarians, with Buddhists, with Theravadan Buddhists, with Mahayana Buddhists. India kind of has everybody here. Jewish people even. It's a huge melting pot. And so it means with equanimity, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama shows, he goes to everybody's, he goes to the golden temples with the Sikhs, he goes to worship with the Jains, he goes to Hindu ashrams, he goes to the churches. Yep, he meets with the Muslim leaders up in Ladakh. He doesn't leave anybody out of his love. So that's his example for us. And that's how we want to practice. And the same with politics. We don't get involved with politics. We have our own right to vote. In Bhutan, they don't allow the monks and nuns to vote. But in Ladakh, in India, you're allowed to vote. It's important if we can vote to vote, but that's our private business. We shouldn't really take sides. We can definitely have views about environment and protections, things like this, but we shouldn't get involved with arguments and really let our minds get disturbed and stirred up by what's happening in politics. And that's important these days because around the world, there's a lot of nationalism going on. There's a lot going on at many national levels of bad behavior, naughty behavior, very naughty behavior, very naughty behavior. But anyway, we have to learn that way. So we have to know the virtues that come from when we see bad speech, bad leadership, that we value morality, we value good right speech, we value good moral behavior, we value beings whose words we can trust. So equanimity means we hold everybody with the same wish for loving kindness, compassion, sorrowless bliss. And we don't say, oh, they're not really a good person, so I'm not gonna, I hope, you know, they don't, I hope that they get bad karma. That we would never think like that. That's not at all a Buddhist approach. It's not even a good human being approach. You have to have open-heartedness to understand that everybody's living on the planet here to learn lessons. And so just like the Buddha had his cousin, Devadatta, who was very naughty, Devadatta, he was very jealous of the Buddha. And he was always trying to provoke him. Can you tell the little story of Devadatta about the swan? Just, you could just talk. No? A little shy, okay. So recently, Tenzin Dasel, my good little sister here, she drew a beautiful picture for our celebration at Labab Duchen of the story of Devata, and maybe you know it. The Buddha was out somewhere in the forest and he was just walking, and all of a sudden he saw a beautiful swan flying, and then he saw an arrow pierce its side, and the swan came down near him. And the Buddha's heart was broken. He thought someone just killed the swan. So he went to the swan and he picked it up and he saw that the swan was not dead. So he took the swan back to the palace and he removed the arrow and he healed it, and he gave it a little nest, and he was tending it and taking care of it. When his cousin came running in and said, "What are you doing with my swan?" His cousin was Devadatta. So it was one of his relations who was like his nemesis. And at the time, the Buddha wasn't the Buddha, he was Siddhartha. It was before his journey to enlightenment. But he had these lovely qualities already. He had these big, warm-hearted qualities. And Siddhartha said to his cousin, "What do you mean, what am I doing with your swan? This is my swan. Somebody injured it, and I'm going to heal it now and take care of it." And his cousin Devadatta said, "No, I shot it, so it's mine." So Siddhartha said, "Well, let's go to the king, to the court, and ask them to decide, because we're not going to decide it ourselves." So they went themselves. They left the swan, I like to imagine, in its little box resting, and they went, the two of them, in front of the court, and they told their story, and they said, "So whose swan is it?" How did they decide for Siddhartha? What did they say?
He said the same thing.
Yeah, so the court decided, well, Devadatta, you harmed this being and you were trying to take its life and kill it. But luckily, Siddhartha found it and saved its life before that happened. So we judge in favor for Siddhartha. He was the one who came to help and rescue it. So we decide that his care. So that's a beautiful, that's a beautiful story of not judging. And afterwards, eventually, I think it's right. Eventually, Devadatta became a monk, I think. He became a monk, but he carried this jealousy all the way through, and he split the Sangha. He was always trying to get control. But the Buddha, even when Siddhartha attained enlightenment, he had clairvoyance. He knew Devadatta still has this kind of black mark on his character. He did not deny him entrance into the Sangha. He realized it's good, at least Devadatta wants to become a monk and he wants to follow. Maybe some good qualities will evolve. So he welcomed him in. And then eventually he started a big schism. He tried to split and get followers to come and leave following the Buddha because Buddha was getting older. And Devadatta said, "No, we're younger men, we'll take over." And that didn't work either. And in the end, he died still very shamed. And, he didn't really learn his lesson in that lifetime, but he was lucky he had a good karma to be connected to Siddhartha and to the Buddha. So these four immeasurable qualities are so important because the Buddha himself in the life stories, we can find him living them all the time. And we really need to remember in this day and age, during the difficulties of COVID-19, during the difficulties of nationalism and, politics being very aggressively combative, during the difficulties of the environmental crisis. During COVID, I was very sad to read how many minks, these kind of animals, are being killed because the disease is going through the population. They're slaughtering millions and millions of them all around the world. These poor animals that were being raised anyway for their fur. Now they're just killing all at once. So these very, very sad things are happening right now, but we have to remember these four immeasurable qualities because just as life will continue to go on and there will always be challenges, we want these immeasurable qualities to take deep hold in our minds, our heart minds, so that they're always with us in whatever life form we're in, that we always carry that warm-hearted kindness in our being. So, some animals have that nature. Some dogs are very friendly and warm and caring, and some are very aggressive and biting and attacking. In the same way with cats, different animals carry that kind of imprints with them, as do human beings. So what we do now really does matter. The intentions that we're setting, we say intention, motivation, dedication. So our intention of practicing and setting our 4 immeasurables is to create a loving, kind heart with compassion, full of sorrowless bliss, for equanimity, every life form. Our motivation is, well, because it makes us happier. That's a good motivation. And because it makes everyone else happier. So it's a win-win. And then our dedication is that we may, by living this way, eventually attain enlightenment our own selves, in order then to help everybody else attain enlightenment and come out of samsara, of the realm of suffering. So that's why we really cultivate these 4 immeasurable qualities. My teacher, Ken Rinpoche, most of our teacher who's on this video, he recently, before this summer, he gave this advice and said, please, please, please practice these 4 immeasurable qualities. So, we really want to do a meditation on these 4 immeasurable qualities now. So I'm going to do a short guided meditation. Do you have time? You can leave if you need to leave. You don't have to stay. Time is 8:15. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll just do till 8:30 and then you go. Okay. So just sitting up comfortably, sitting nice, sitting comfortably.
Are you comfortable?
I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my foot's even feeling much better today. That's good.
Do you want to keep your foot up?
Yeah, I'll just put it there. That's a good idea. I'll just put it on this one. Yeah, not on the prayer book.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to just sit there. I'll zoom you in. Sitting comfortably. And for this one, it's good if you can meditate with your eyes partly open and partly closed, and just let your eyes go soft, so that you're gazing down, but you're not really using your eye consciousness. Now we're using our inner vision, because there's a little meditation of visualization for this. So let's start by taking a first few breaths, maybe 3 or 4 breaths. Deeply in, relaxing out. Just enjoying bringing your attention to the breath, aware of breathing in when we're breathing in. And aware of breathing out when we're breathing out. That's all we're doing right now at the beginning, of just calming our mind and bringing it into our inner space awareness. And you might notice after the out breath, there's a natural pause. You don't hold the breath, but you just let the body find its own rhythm. You can relax your belly, relax your abdomen muscles so that the breath can come deeply down into the body. Maybe 4 fingers below the belly button. That's your diaphragm. That's where you really want your breath to start from. So you relax the belly and then let that space fill up with deep breath. In through the nose. And you can feel the breath move and fill the whole body. And you might feel a little warmth at your heart center. And we can now, as part of our program, it's called One Breath and Oneness of Humanity and Unity of Dharma. We can imagine right now that every living, breathing creature on this planet, in this world system, is breathing with us, enjoying peace. We can think of all the beings who are struggling with the COVID and be breathing for them. They're struggling to breathe, and we can send them our deep breath and the gift of the breath with love and compassion, remembering that so many are struggling for breath. We can remember all of the green life, all the plants in the Amazon, and all the great forests around the world with appreciation. The trees that help give us our breath through the oxygen and send out breathing with them. Visualizing taking in their oxygen and breathing out our carbon dioxide, which they then take and then turn it back into oxygen, feeling our oneness with them. We might remember the big mammals in the ocean, the big whales and the dolphins that come up and take a breath of air. Even though they live in the water, they come up and have to breathe at the surface. Feeling our oneness and breath with them. Maybe you know someone who needs some gentleness of breath. You can bring that sentient being to mind and breathe out in and out gently, sending your peace and appreciation of breath, breathing in and breathing out. Breath is our very lifeline that connects us to this life, that connects us to all other forms of life that are living and breathing right now. And all various life forms that have ever lived and breathed immeasurably. And now if you have a root teacher, your Lama, or a sacred guide, if you watch this and you don't practice Buddhism, but you're a Christian and you follow the guidance of Jesus or Mother Mary, you can use them. If you follow a different kind of tradition where you have a different guide, you use that one, the one that feels the closest to your heart. But for we Buddhists, especially in Vajrayana Buddhism, we often have what's called our Sawe Lama, our root Lama. We are going to bring that lovely and wonderful, precious guide to mind right now and ask that one to take a position on the crown of our head, floating maybe just a few inches, a few centimeters above our crown of our head, and visualize a beautiful lotus flower. It can be a very big one, like 1,000 petals. Very lovely and bright, totally made out of light. You can make it whatever color you like. It can be multicolored. And then a sun cushion, beautiful, bright, light sun glowing. And a moon seat, also bright and clear light. And you can bring your root lama in his form as a monk in saffron robes, or you can bring your root lama in as a yidam deity, as a guide like Aryatara or Manjushri or Maitreya or Vajrayogini. There are many, or Vajrasattva. So whomever you feel close to with the highest form and expression of your root lama, ask them to come and sit on that beautiful throne of a lotus sun and moon cushion that you just imagined floating above the crown of your head. And now let's bring our 4 immeasurable wishes with a form of a prayer and a guided meditation. The first part is the wish of a wonderful thought. So you just think, as I say it, you put this thought in your heart mind. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and its causes. The second part is, may all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. And the third part, cause all sentient beings to have happiness and its causes. And the fourth part, please, Guru Deity, grant me blessings to be able to do this. And now you visualize from the heart of your Guru Deity, beautiful white light streaming right down through the crown of your head, touching your heart center, filling your heart with loving kindness and the power to be able to bring happiness to all sentient beings. You really believe that you do have this power. It's really important that you believe it. We're not just doing pretend. So this beautiful white light is flowing down forcefully into your heart center, filling your entire body with beautiful white light, giving you the power to be able to bring happiness and its causes to all mother beings. Now, the second immeasurable wish. How wonderful it would be if all beings were free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. I myself will cause all sentient beings to be free of suffering and its causes. Please, Guru Deity, grant your blessings that I might be able to do this. And now again, you feel and visualize beautiful white light coming from the heart center of your Guru Deity, flooding through the crown of your head, touching your heart, filling your heart and your entire being with the power of compassion. Really being able to free all beings from any sadness or bad feelings the way that some of us who have been in the presence of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, feel, or Jetsuma Tenzin Palmola feel, to be in the presence of a great being whose only purpose is to bring beings out of suffering. Or Ken Rinpoche Lobsang Tenle also, immediately removing beings from feeling sad with great compassion. May we also be able to do that. Our Guru deity is very happy that we have this very high wish and grants the blessings very quickly. Now the third immeasurable, sorrowless bliss, infinite joy. How wonderful if all sentient beings were never separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings never be separated from sorrowless bliss. I myself will cause all sentient beings to never be separated from sorrowless bliss. Please, Guru Deity, grant your blessings that I may be able to do this. And the white light flows directly from the heart of your Guru Deity into your heart, filling your entire body. So the light is radiating out through your pores, shining out and touching all mother sentient beings with endless joy. And now the fourth immeasurable wish. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings would live in equanimity, free from the biases of attachment, hatred, and ignorance. May all sentient beings live in equanimity, free from biases of attachment, hatred, and ignorance. I myself will cause all sentient beings to live in equanimity, free from these biases. Please, Guru Deity, grant your blessings that I may be able to do this. And again, you feel the beautiful white light and blessings of the Guru filling your heart and your entire being and shining out to every sentient being equally with the wish of loving kindness, compassion, and joy. And now you imagine that the lotus and the sun cushion and the moon disk all melt into light. And your guru deity as well melts into bright light. And they come down and absorb and stay mixed with your heart center. Where these four immeasurable qualities are continually nurtured. And every time you come back to reciting these four immeasurables, you can bring the guru back to mind and put them up on your crown, on the lotus, sun, and moon cushion. And then when you're finished, draw them down into your heart. You can also leave them at the crown of your head. Jetsuma's funny. She says she always worries if she's going through a low doorway that she'll knock her guru out off the top of the head. So she brings him down and keeps her close into her heart center. It's up to you. So when you're ready, we'll gently come out of this meditation. That's our closing bell. It's my traveling singing bowl. It's a nice meditation app. I think do you have a phone? You have a phone. You do? I can show you this one to put on. It's for free. It's this called this Insight Timer. You can pick. So we'll come out of the meditation now. And but not out of the blissful love and feelings of what we were practicing, because these we always want to keep with us. Did you like this meditation? So we say the four immeasurables every day, many times actually. We say it in the temple in Tibetan. But this kind of meditation where you really make that wish is a very precious one. So that one we don't do too often in the temple, but my teacher taught that a while back. And I think it's very filling, that it makes a close connection. Yeah. So I'm going to let the sisters go. We still have a little bit of time left together, but they have to go and study. I mean, you're very welcome to stay, but you don't feel like you have to. We're finishing in about 25 more minutes. So up to you.
25 minutes. Yeah. It's my wish.
Yeah. Okay. They're deciding, but anyway, we'll move along to. You're gonna go?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna do one more little teaching from a sutra. I thought also to build on the theme of the four immeasurables that this Metta Sutra is very lovely, the Heart Sutra. They're too shy to leave, but it's really okay if you need to go. Don't be shy. I'm not trying to push you out. I like having you here. Don't take it like that at all. But I feel that I know that you want to go study, so it's also okay. So I was just reading a nice article by a senior nun who I had the blessing to travel with in New Zealand last year. Her name is Carmelexe Somo. And she's an American nun. She's one of the longest ordained, also Western nuns in the Vajrayana tradition. She was ordained also by the 16th Karmapa, as was Jetsuma Tenzin Pamo, and as was Lama Tsultrim Alione. So the 16th Karmapa really did huge service to the Western female monastic tradition. And this is from a recent magazine. Some of you maybe have it, The Lion's Roar. I don't know if you get that one, Doreen, but anyway, Lexi Soma's article is called The Progressive Buddha, and talking about how the Buddha is a social reformer for our time. And the Buddha's emphasis in his time was quite radical when he was talking about that people didn't necessarily get born lifetime as one kind of a person. In other words, when the Buddha was alive, the caste system was very much dictating the social order of the day in India. So like he was born into this warrior caste, he never could leave that caste. He couldn't leave and become a Brahmin, a high priest or scholar. People who were born into the farming agricultural caste couldn't leave that caste to become a warrior. People who were born into artisan caste couldn't decide that they wanted to be farmers. And people born into the saddest categorization they had for people was called the untouchables, the Dalits, meaning those human beings were not even considered worthy to be touched by anyone other than people in their own caste system, which is really quite horrific. I mean, racism is very horrific in our day and age. We still have a lot of racism on the planet, but having a caste of beings, of human beings called untouchables, I really can't get my mind around that. But that was happening in the Buddha's day. And he said, no, these things, these ways of thinking about human beings are completely wrong. And so he did a lot of teaching, which was considered very radical because he was upsetting the social order of his day by challenging the way the society had set itself up. But he constantly taught about karuna, about metta and loving kindness as a universal love, and expresses heartfelt concern. And the way he taught often was through storytelling. So I'm going to use this sutra to share a story that shows these four immeasurable qualities. I'm just looking it up because Karma Lexe put it in the name Karaniya Metta Sutra. Yeah, here it is. And I think it's important that we kind of understand the way the Buddha used story to tell us how to live a good human life in a very easy way, that we continually bring back to mind the power and the need for loving kindness and compassion. I mean, it's so evident in this day and age that these stories and these teachings and examples of the Buddha have not gone out of style. They're still very much needed today. Oh yeah, here it is. This was the copy that I wanted. Okay, so the Karaniya, I hope I'm saying it right. It's Karaniya Metta Sutta, the discourse on loving kindness. While the Buddha was staying at Savatthi, a band of monks, having received subjects of meditation from the master, proceeded to a forest to spend the rainy season, the Vasana, to practice a meditation. The tree deities inhabiting the forest were worried by their arrival, as they had to descend from the tree abodes and dwell on the ground. They hoped, however, the monks would leave soon, but finding that the monks would stay the entire Vasana period of 3 months, the deities harassed them in diverse ways during the night with the intention of scaring them away. So in Buddhism, we often practice in what are called the three watches of the night. So from 9 until 12 a.m. and from 12 a.m. until 3 a.m. and from 3 a.m. until 6 a.m. with just a little break in between. When you're doing a very serious meditation retreat, those are often the hours that you're doing your practice. Living under such conditions being impossible, the monks went to the master, went to the Buddha, and informed him of their difficulties. Thereon, the Buddha instructed them in the Metta Sutra and advised their return equipped with this sutra for their protection. The monks went back to the forest and practicing the instruction conveyed, permeated the whole atmosphere with their radiant thoughts of metta, or loving kindness. The deities, so affected by this power of love, henceforth allowed them to meditate in peace. The discourse gets divided into two parts. The first detailing the standard of moral conduct required by one who wishes to attain purity and peace, and the second, the method of practice of metta. The first instruction: one who is skilled in working out one's own well-being and who wishes to attain that state of calm or nirvana should act thus. One should be dexterous, upright, exceedingly upright, obedient, gentle, and humble. 2, contented, easily supportable, but with few responsibilities, of simple livelihood, controlled in the senses, prudent, courteous, and not hanker after association with families. 3, let one not perform the slightest wrong for which wise people may rebuke one. Let one think, may all beings be happy and safe. May they have happy minds. 4 and 5, whatever living beings there may be, feeble or strong, or the seekers and the attained, long, stout, or of medium size, short, small, large, those seen or those unseen, those dwelling far or near, those who are born as well as those yet to be, all beings have happy minds. 6, let one not deceive another nor despise anyone anywhere. In anger or ill will, let one not wish another ill. 7, just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so let one cultivate a boundless love towards all beings. 8, let one radiate boundless love towards the entire world, above, below, and across, unhindered, without ill will, without enmity. 9, standing, walking, sitting, or reclining, as long as one is awake, let one develop this mindfulness. This, they say, is noble living here. And 10, not falling into wrong views, being virtuous, endowed with insight, lust in the senses discarded. Verily, never again will one return to conceive in a womb. So this is very beautiful teaching, the Sutra of Karaniya Metta, of loving kindness. And, you know, I want to just share a little bit of how Karma-Lexe Somo's talking about this in her article, because it comes to this antidote for, you know, why we've been holding our Tashi Getseling retreat on the Veterans Day weekend, is that we need to move beyond war. And to move beyond war as a collective humanity, we have to move beyond those things that cause disturbances in our own individual mind. We have to be free of anger, of selfishness, of our own ignorance, of wrong views. And this is why the Buddha was starting with individual teachings that would help us remove these poisons. So in her article, this is what Karma-Lexe Somo has to say. In the Indian context of his time, the Buddha was quite radical, rejecting Indian caste hierarchies, denying priestly authority, and transgressing gender norms by allowing women to enter monastic life were revolutionary acts. The Buddha's emphasis on ethical discipline for the good of the many directly challenged corruption and social injustice. He defied social norms by meeting and teaching everyone who sought him out, regardless of age, gender, caste, or class. He taught that all beings have the potential for awakening. Buddha Shakyamuni may not have been a social activist in today's sense of the term, but his teachings on universal compassion and loving kindness have the effect of changing society. The Karaniya Metta Sutta, what we just heard, a hymn of universal love, expresses heartfelt concern for the peace and safety of all beings without exception, not just, quote, our own kind. Implementing compassion is both personally and socially revolutionary. The Buddha identified the ultimate source of suffering as being within our own mind. At the same time, his teachings on truth-telling, nonviolence, and compassion have powerful implications for society and politics. In a past life as a bodhisattva, the Buddha set forth the qualities of a true king: generosity, moral virtue, self-sacrifice, honesty, gentleness, self-control, non-anger, non-injury, patience, and uprightness. He exhorted rulers to maintain high ethical standards to ensure the safety, prosperity, and happiness of all citizens. We could definitely include in there right speech with the truth-telling. He explained that corrupt and immoral leaders legitimize bad behavior that corrupts and demoralizes their subjects. However, if rulers model integrity and high standards, the people will also be virtuous, be bountiful. In the 3rd century BCE, King Ashoka, here in India, became such a model, implementing the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of the people and creating a host of laudable projects for the public good. Some believe that the Buddhist path is a solitary contemplative endeavor. However, the benefits of the Buddha's teachings naturally extend far beyond the individual. To be gentle in speech, honest and kind, is in itself a significant contribution to the social good. To live simply as the Buddha and his followers did protects the natural world. To do good deeds, avoid misdeeds, and purify our minds benefits us as well as those around us. As we begin to see through our misconceptions about the self and dial down our self-obsession, we discover a blissful, liberating space that encompasses all beings. For centuries, Buddhists have been active in addressing issues of social concern, providing schools, orphanages, elder care facilities, counseling, and medical care. But Buddhist societies have not met all expectations. Slavery continued, queer folk were sidelined, and social inequities remained. In the 1960s, a new wave of social activism began sweeping the world, and Buddhists became increasingly aware that charitable activities alone are insufficient to address human misery, that meditation alone will not solve the environmental crisis, and that deep structural change is required to uproot systematic injustice. To this end, thinkers and practitioners around the world today are restating the Buddha's teachings in ways that meet the critical demands of our time. By whatever means, teaching meditation in prisons, reducing poverty and homelessness, creating peace education programs, building hospices and women's shelters, Buddhists have an implicit obligation to speak out and devise strategies for correcting social injustices. By virtue of our commitment to liberate beings from suffering, now is the time to put into the Dharma into practice to reshape political institutions and correct social injustices. Compassion and loving kindness compel us to work for the benefit of others. By following the Buddha's lead, we can give life its greatest meaning and experience how radical selfless action brings life's highest happiness. So thank you to the Most Venerable Karma Lexe Somola, who herself has done so much for the young nuns who are now aging in the Himalayas, because she's been involved for many decades, starting many, many nunneries here and leading by example, allowing nuns to have access to education, to have nunneries to live at, to be able to study. She founded and started the only nunnery in the Vajrayana tradition in Bodh Gaya. She started up and led the International Women's Community of Sakyadhita, Buddhist Women's Community organization of the monastic and lay women for the last 15 years. Just the last Sakyadhita was the first time someone else, another group took over. So she's been tirelessly, selflessly walking her walk, and we're very grateful, Karma Lexela. And we need to feel inspired in our own lives to think, what can we do as individuals? And Tashi Getzeling is thinking about this in Maine, where we have plans to start an eco-Buddhist Dharma center, where we can hold and host retreats, where we can hold and host teachings, where we can be engaged actively in the social network, both by being an eco-Dharma center that's completely green, solar powered, feeding energy back into the grid system, but also doing some social environmental justice work, preserving land and space that will not be developed, and being engaged with the local social networks that are working against hunger, and in the schools to help the students learn peace. So these are some of the things we have been doing and some of the things we plan to continue to do. So if you're interested in helping and joining with us, we'd really appreciate your input. So feel invited. Some are long-term connected friends of Tashi Getzeling, some are newer, but we're very grateful. And to, of course, Jetsuma Tenzin Pamola, who started this beautiful nunnery project of Donju Getzeling, where we have over 100 nuns of various ages, some in lifelong retreat that took Denmas, doing amazing, amazing meditation practices. We have, I think, 9 nuns now. It's growing all the time. We have 9, we have a few more going in next year, and eventually there will be more and more. We have these fine younger nuns who are studying intensively to become, what's your aim, to be a Lopan?
Yeah.
Lopan means they can become actually the leader of a female or monastic community, like an abbess. They're studying, what are you studying? Debate, philosophy, what else?
Tibetan grammars
Tibetan grammar.
and English as well.
English as well. And they have a very deep thirst for knowledge. So Jetsuma, not only did she start a nunnery with a temple where the practices and the prayers are being said every day, and the pujas 4 times a month, doing very beautiful traditional pujas, prayer rituals for 4 hours. Usually I think our shortest one is 4 hours.
Yeah.
So really committed intensive rituals with meditation, visualization, chanting, a lot of rejoicing. We often have very tasty tea and sometimes snacks served. We're rejoicing that we have great causes and conditions that we can make it through 4-hour practices. So many facets of the sacred life are being upheld here. And this is a very visionary, a very revolutionary and wonderful opportunity to keep the Dharma alive in this day and age. And these days, it traditionally is being upheld and led by women and female practitioners. So, if you are inclined to join us, we say welcome. Thank you. Thanks for the help. And and just to practice together, it's really wonderful. It's very often on these Zoom chats, and even when I'm doing talks with other groups, that the people who are coming are 90 or 99% female. So this may be, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama did say, that the 21st century has to be the century for female leadership on all fronts. So, we're helping to prove that to be the case just by keeping our practice very pure, very dedicated, and, may all beings be free and happy. So let's just close now with our final giving away of our merits of our lovely time together. I hope this has been a nice beginning of your day there in the United States for the people who are based there. And if you're tuning in and watching the recording later, then hope you're having a great day wherever you are as well. So we're turning to the long life prayer for our teacher and our spiritual director and founder of Tashi Getze Ling, the Most Honorable His Eminence Kensor Rinpoche Lobsang Setenle. And we're saying this long life prayer for his continued guidance and blessings on our project. I offer prostrations and prayers with single-minded faith to the gurus whose kindness is unequaled, and who, with skillful means and without an instant's rest, reveal to living beings so illusory the path of benefit and happiness, without moving from the sphere of dependent arising and the elimination of elaborations, having gone to bliss by the path of valid cognition and incontrovertible dependent arising. To the Buddhas, deities, and personal deities, Vajradhara and the rest, to the lords of the three lineages, protectors, and to the assembly of great heroes and dakinis. O compassionate supreme beings, please bestow on me good fortune. May you be victorious, O supreme noble being, Avalokiteshvara, deep inclined master, destined to be the deity of the land of snow's beings, just as prophesied the teacher Buddha, epitome of the four bodies, and so on, who, having upheld and tamed Tibet, expanded the power and influence of the Tibetan teachings and government with the activities of a Dharma king, an ancestral king, and the like, and increased the human population and brought them together with material goods and teachings. Though after long Dharma decline, obstacles and hindrances arose, you again performed unsurpassable kindnesses here in Tibet, increasing the opportunities for happiness in the Tibetan teachings and governments through emanations of the greatly compassionate one and the like. Furthermore, during the perilous time when Tibet became like a hell on earth due to the occupation of the Red Chinese, because of the kindness of powerful Avalokiteshvara, the supreme 14th protector, religion and government could breathe a sigh of relief. When one searches for the object imputed, there is no essence, just as it is with the plantain tree. Yet due to the dependent arising of causes and conditions, there is the tragedy of this great threat to the sage's teaching, root of happiness for the land of snow, and all beings are mothers. I pray for the long life of the King of the victorious ones, the supreme protector who brings well-being to all living beings, to the teaching, and especially to Tibet, through his unequaled courage and altruistic spirit of enlightenment, which are equal in measure to all the troubles. I pray for the long life of all those who uphold the teaching, who do so without bias, and who take responsibility for its increase and preservation by first understanding the victorious one's teachings in general, and to be the root of all beings' happiness, and then by practicing and explaining them. In particular, I pray for the one who knows all the scriptures with the power of his intelligence, to have a long life through the solid strength of his mind and his mastery of life, in order to benefit the teachings and all beings with his good, wholehearted resolve. In general, the disappearance of the supreme protector of all beings in the teaching draws near. In particular, the land of snow's teachings and government are in crisis. It is a bodhisattva deed to uphold the teaching and work for the benefit of all beings by wholeheartedly assuming the responsibility of the thought to help them. Therefore, in this time of great peril, in the degenerate age, I pray for you to have a long life wherein you have considered the general and the particular, with a special altruistic spirit, perseverance, patience, and discernment, and in accord with the magnificent thought of the snowy region's protector. And now to page 26, the dedication verses. Through this virtue, may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha's state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Migne se wei ter chen chen resi, dreame kien pe wang po jam pel yang, gong chen ke pe su get son kappa, lob song drak pe shabla sol wade. May we all attain Buddhahood for the benefit of every sentient being. So thank you, sisters and brothers, and have a nice day wherever you are. Stay blessed, and may your practice be a true refuge. And see you next time. And thank you to my sisters here for joining with us. Hope you enjoyed this 21st century experience of the Dharma.
Yeah.
It's their first time to be on Zoom.
Oh,
Wonderful. We're so glad
New
to
Zoom
have you.
experience. Did you enjoy?
Yeah, very much.
See, they're very open in this 21st century. They're women of this modern time, nuns of the modern time, sumalas of the. And Kun Sao is 19, and Se Wang is 30. So we have a very, and I'm 54, and Jetsum is 77. And we have some who they say they're 7, but I'm convinced she's 5. So our youngest is about 5, and Jetsum is 77. So this whole big population and many ages in between of just amazing practitioners here. Jetsuma said at Labab Duchen in the temple the other day, she said, we really do have like our own Daewachin. Daewachin is the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, where even the sound of suffering is never heard. So, it's nice to know it somewhere. Maybe it's not exactly yet Daewachin, but we're working on it. And we're sending out all the love and light to the whole, everyone, isn't it? You have anything you want to add? No? Okay, well, nice to see you. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for joining.
So Heidi had asked in the chat if there's room for any questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering, how is our teacher doing in terms of his health? And and if we switched around different teachers during the meditation and visualized after you talked about the beautiful light coming in from the teacher and stuff, I was envisioning that whole light coming over, surrounding the whole planet.
Oh,
Is
great.
that
that's the way. That's the way. Yep. Yes, and you can use different teachers. Like if you had Ken Rinpoche and His Holiness or whomever, that's fine. Kensor Rinpoche is doing very well. His surgery went great. He's already back down south at Tashi Lumpo, so his monks will take care of him. He's got a beautiful room there, and it's quite temperate. It's quite mild, and it's not too hot. It's not too cold. And he's in good spirits, so yay.
Yay. We've been praying for him.
Yeah, the prayers worked. Yeah.
I have my mom on the phone listening to us.
Oh,
So.
hello. Hello, Bonnie. Jule. You say Jule.
Thank you.
Jule. Chule from our Ladaki Le.
Yay.
Yeah, so our teacher had to have his, this gallbladder out. Yeah.
Lots of water. Water is life. Winnie Wachoni.
Yeah. Any other questions? Good questions. How are you, Carla?
Doing well.
Good. You're looking well. You're
Oh,
looking
thank you.
younger than when we were in Tashi Lumpo together some
Oh,
years ago.
really? Well, I guess
Aw.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
that's good.
She has 4 children. She looks like an
Yes.
other.
No.
I'm just telling the nuns you have 4 children. Do you look like a mother? No, you don't look like a mother. She's very young, right? Yeah. Good. How are you, Miss Andrea? She's also
Well, I wanted to pass along my gratitude for you and the lovely Anilas next to you for joining today and for doing this full-time job, which is praying and supporting our lay community. So thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. It's our pleasure, really, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. And Andrea lives in Maine, but she's from the country of Romania. She's from a different country, but she's really enjoying the Dharma. Yeah.
And how does one get involved with this eco thing you were talking about? I'm thinking about the fact that when you were talking about the lungs of the Amazon, we have to save our lungs of the forest of Maine here with stopping the CMP, the Central Maine Power, Hydro-Quebec, NECEC, New England Clean, so-called Clean Energy Connect corridor and such.
Yeah. Well, our vision to get something to be able to get a little piece of land. I don't know how big is little, but not that many acres, maybe 5 to 7 acres, and be able to really build a green. We have already a blueprint set up for it, a green retreat center that has a few rooms for monastics, to myself and some nuns to come as visiting teachers to stay, and then eventually to add some yurts that would be like separate retreat places for people who want to do longer term retreat. And then just to preserve, this concept of eco living through the Dharma and non-harming. I know the project you're talking about, and I'm all for you getting involved with that. I don't think we'll be doing politics that way, but our contribution will be living in accordance to the eco Dharma of doing no harm.
And maybe contributing to prayers to stop it.
Oh yeah, well, prayers for the highest benefit for non-harm on the planet. Yes,
Right.
So that no one is having to suffer. Even you say green, clean energy like that, but by destroying even swath of forest, there's so many things. Carla knows, she can speak to it because she was a forest management and nature conserver. Even if you start a little swath that you start to disrupt, you can disturb a whole ecosystem. So you want to add anything, Carla? I don't know. I don't have anything political to say.
I don't have anything to add at juncture, but
yes, we want to center where we can continue to do what Tashi Getzeling has done, which is network with the local schools, go in and offer, very open academic talks about Buddhism, guide meditation for peace and happiness for the students in a way that helps them do something that's very non-religious, but just using the breath as we did at the beginning, in and out, for finding more peace of mind. Working with other groups that are doing things around cleanups and hunger walks and things like this, so there's a lot that we can contribute, that we are still contributing to. And, that's our vision, to try to take Tashi Getzeling into another kind of a project there in Maine.
Thank you. And how are
Okay.
you, Doreen?
Okay, doing better.
And Paul?
He's very busy. He's out and I've got to go in a couple minutes. I got to go help him. We are,
Okay, well, we're gonna go now because I'm gonna say goodbye and thank you for joining today and happy to practice with everybody. And see you next time.
okay.
Thank you, dear ones.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Q.
Tashi delay.